Namaste and welcome back. Now we're going to talk about Samadhi. Sometimes it's considered trance or hypnotic. The person is sort of way out there,
Altered state of
altered
consciousness.
state. Trance is a half-conscious state characterized by an absence of response to external stimuli, typically as induced by hypnosis or entered by a medium. It could be a dazed or bewildered condition. So the person is not quite, he's lost some faculties.
Yeah.
Rather than gaining faculties, rather than expanding his consciousness, he's kind of not quite together. So what is Samadhi then?
Yeah, this is quite interesting that the meaning which is given here of trance that gives the opposite meaning of Samadhi. Samadhi is actually a very elevated state of consciousness. The person is highly aware. Such a person becomes aware of things which we are not aware in our normal state of consciousness, wakeful state. So Samadhi is, you develop some super cognitive faculties, which is called Ritambhara Pragya. That means you are able to see even things which our normal senses cannot see. You can see things which are very far away, or you can see things in future, you can see things, beyond the boundaries of time and space. So Samadhi, according to derivation, of course, it is made from suffixes sam, a and dhi, which is dha, dhatu, dudhai, dharan, poshanayo. So the idea is that your awareness at present is being scattered to external sense objects, which is called chitta vrittis. So in the state of Samadhi, all the chitta vrittis are, restrained, and the focus becomes on the self or the object of meditation. So by that, a state is achieved where you can actually perceive things which our senses do not perceive at present. So that's why it's a very highly elevated state of awareness and not some kind of bewilderment or hypnotic state or loss of external consciousness, etc.
There's a yogic method called Sanyam. What does that mean?
So this is described by Patanjali in the 3rd chapter of Yoga Sutra when he is elaborating on the Ashtanga Yoga. So you know that Ashtanga Yoga has 8 limbs to it: Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. So each one is explained, and then he says that these 3 things together, the last 3, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi, together these 3 things are called Sanyama. So we should also know that out of these 8 limbs, the first 5 are called external, Bahyanga. And then these 3 are the internal ones. So when these 3 are together, then that is called Sanyama. So when there is a state of Samadhi, then the person is aware only of the object of meditation. But when you are in Sanyama, because it also includes the other 2 states of Dharana and Dhyana, which means that there is also awareness of the meditator. And that makes the distinction. So in the 3rd chapter, then there is a big list of things which a yogi can achieve by Sanyama. Of course, if one is interested, he also says that this is not really the purpose of yoga, that you want to get certain powers. So you can attain different types of powers by doing Sanyama, and depending on what you do Sanyama, like if you do Sanyama on the Surya Loka, then you will get the knowledge of the Surya Loka just sitting here. If you do Sanyama on Ishvara, then you can attain moksha or you can attain prema. So it is wrong therefore to translate that Samadhi is trance, because trance is maybe a confused state of consciousness. So Sanyama and Samadhi, they are very elevated state of consciousness, and one actually gets a lot of realizations and also powers by that. So lot of things which we read in our Shastra, that was attained by getting into the state of Sanyama. And these things are real, but one has to work hard for that. It is not something that you can buy them at Amazon.com. So this, and then of course there are varieties of samadhis. There is a Sabij Samadhi, there is a Nirbij Samadhi, also called Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So that is depending on whether you are taking help of some mantra or sound or light or something to focus on, or you do without that. So that is the difference between Sabij and Nirbija. So there are two views on that. According to the Yoga Sutras, they consider the Nirbija Samadhi or Nirvikalpa Samadhi as the highest. But according to the Vaishnava tradition, that is
the other way around.
That is not the highest.
Yes.
Because for them, Sabija, that Bija is not material. For them, the name of God is not material. It is beyond actually what is drashta, the perceiver. There is Paramatma beyond that. So they actually focus on that. And therefore, for them, the Sabija Samadhi or Savikalpa Samadhi is higher than the Nirvikalpa.
So is it accurate to say that in the Vaishnava tradition, the lowest state is when you're fixated on the world of matter and senses?
Yes.
Higher than that is when you're withdrawn from all that emptiness, a kind of a nirvikalp state and nirvana and in emptiness, shunya.
Right.
But there is a higher state than that also.
Right. So, yes, from mathematical point of view, I say that there is a negative state, then there is a zero state, like if you draw a line.
Then there's a positive state.
And then there is a positive state.
So the positive state is the Anand.
Right.
Right. So the positive state is the Satchita Anand. This is a positive being. It's not sort of nothing. You know, the nothingness.
It's zero.
The nothingness that is talked about in many systems is a very important intermediate step, but not the final step. That's very important.
Yes.
So this is why it's not a world negating system which says that at the end there is nothing to do and you're kind of, it's not an escapist world negating system, because that is sort of an intermediate state, but there is something even higher than that where it is actually a very positive state.
Yeah, that's actually, you can say, is an interface between this material world and the spiritual world.
Right.
So you are like crossing the boundary of this and entering into another realm.
Right. So sometimes I like to think that if a person has got very bad eating habits, he's very toxic, he fasts. But he's not going to fast indefinitely and die.
Right.
The fasting is a cleansing. Is to cleanse out the bad stuff.
Yeah, and then comes the healthy
Then
state.
comes a healthy eating which is positive. Right. So can we say that in the mind also, achieving nirvana, achieving nirvikalp is sort of like the fasting in the body. So you are emptying out.
Right.
You are emptying out, but you're not going to be like that forever and be gone, because they like to say that this guy who's claiming to be enlightened, he's in a trance and he's escaped from the world and he's not engaged in the world. And we need Mother Teresa to come and save them because they don't know how to look after them. So what we are saying is that after that stage you re-engage.
Yes, that actually, really speaking, the true life begins at that time.
Very good.
Yes. Now is this light which we say that we are in a state of Maya or illusion.
Yes.
We are not really in touch with the supreme reality.
Right. So this is a very important short episode which explains the correct meaning of Samadhi. It is not an escape from reality. It is, temporarily you're withdrawing and you achieve that silence, the nirvikalp, but then you are re-engaging as Anand.
So, and that is the active Samadhi.
That is the active Samadhi.
So then you are still in the state of Samadhi, but you are not sitting with eyes closed.
And that is not yoga on the mat, but yoga off the mat.
Right.
The yoga while you are engaging with people, driving around, talking, but you are in that state.
So that's what Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's what he's teaching.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is an important short message, and I hope you will watch it a few times because this is powerful.